All right, let's just forget about your typical job search for a minute. Today, we're diving into the most important job offer you'll ever get. Think of this not as just another climate report, but as your official welcome package. This is your induction, your first day on the job. So, let's get you briefed. And seriously, what a benefits package, right? No 401k on earth can compete with this. The contract? It's for the next 10 to 15 years, and there are about 8 billion positions open. The only prerequisite is wanting to get the job done. So if you're ready to accept, your work starts right now. Okay, so with any new job, the first thing you have to do is understand the challenge. And ours, well, it's a big one. Our planet is facing this three-part crisis. And to have any chance of succeeding, we need to know exactly what we're up against. First up is the challenge we hear about pretty much all the time: accelerated climate change. And the key word there really is accelerated. You see, the planet's climate has always changed, that's true, but never, ever this fast. It's like we've slammed our foot on the gas, and the whole system is just overheating. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 1.2 degrees? That doesn't sound like a whole lot, does it? But what this slide is showing is a massive, massive deal in climate terms. Every single tenth of a degree makes hurricanes stronger, droughts longer, and wildfires bigger. This isn't some problem for the future. This is a right-now reality. And if you want to see what that looks like in the real world, just check this out. This chart shows the actual cost. In just one country, Spain, the economic damage from natural disasters shot up from 4 billion to 11 billion euros in a single year. This isn't just an environmental problem. It's an economic crisis in the making. And yeah, it's hitting our wallets hard. Okay, let's move on to the second part of our challenge, because the impacts we just saw, they aren't spread out fairly, not even close. This gets to the heart of what we call climate injustice, and it's a huge moral dimension to the job we have to do. I mean, just look at this. This slide reveals a staggering disconnect. The countries that have done the absolute least to cause this problem, we're talking less than 4% of historical emissions, are the ones suffering the most. A full 3/4 of all people forced from their homes by climate disasters live in these nations. It's a crisis they didn't create, but they're paying the highest price for it. And finally, that brings us to the third part of the crisis. It's not just the climate system that's under stress. The planet's entire life support system is starting to unravel. What we're talking about here is a collapse in biodiversity. Seriously, just let that number sink in. A 73% drop in wildlife populations in just 50 years. That's just breathtaking. And this isn't just about losing beautiful animals. It's about losing the insects that pollinate our crops, the forests that produce our oxygen, and the healthy oceans that regulate our climate. We are literally pulling threads from the very fabric of life. All right, so we understand the three major symptoms, right? The fever, the injustice, the breakdown. But to do our job right, we can't just treat the symptoms. We have to diagnose the disease. So what's causing all this? Well, it boils down to 5 fundamental cracks in the very foundation of our modern world. But before we get to those cracks, let's be crystal clear on one thing. Yes, the climate has always changed naturally. You hear that a lot. But just look at the difference in speed. Natural cycles are slow, gradual. They give life time to adapt. What we're doing is about 100 times faster. This isn't a cycle, it's a rocket launch. And here they are. These are the 5 systemic flaws. Our total dependency on fossil fuels. An economic model that basically treats the planet like it's disposable, take, make, and waste. The deep-seated inequality that always puts the most vulnerable people in harm's way. Our constant disruption of Earth's essential life support cycles. And finally, a real failure of governance to think beyond the next quarterly report or the next election. These are the cracks we have been hired to repair. So we know the problem and we know what's causing it. Now for the most important part of our job, the action plan. And here's the good news. We have one. The world has actually already agreed on a blueprint for change. First things first, we have to know where to focus our efforts. And this slide reveals a super critical point that a lot of people miss. It is not just about energy. Yes, how we power our world is huge. That's 55% of the problem. But the other 45% comes from the stuff we make, the food we grow, and how we use our land. We absolutely cannot solve this crisis without tackling both halves of this pie. This right here, this is our shared mission statement. It's our job description.
We have a clear, scientific target that's laid out in the Paris Agreement. This isn't some vague wish. It's a specific temperature limit that nearly 200 countries have signed on to. This is our North Star.
So how do we hit that target? Well, here's the first part of our action plan. We need to totally transform our energy and industrial sectors. That means 1. Shifting to 100% clean electricity from solar and wind. 2. Moving our cars and trucks to electric power. And 3. Cleaning up heavy industry with cool new innovations like green hydrogen, which is a zero-emission fuel. Next, we've got to focus on our relationship with the planet itself. We have to change our food systems so they're regenerative, not destructive. We have to actively protect and restore our forests and oceans. And finally, we actually need to start pulling the carbon we've already put up there back out of the air. But how do we make all of this happen? I mean, these are huge changes. Well, think of these 4 things as the accelerators. They're the gears that make the whole engine turn. We need nonstop innovation, smart government policies, a real cultural shift in how we all live, and of course, a massive redirection of money toward all these clean solutions. Without these, the other actions just won't happen fast enough.
Okay, so that's the big global blueprint. It's huge, it's ambitious, and honestly, it can feel a little overwhelming. But your job contract, it doesn't ask you to do it all at once. It just asks you to start. So let's bring this whole thing down to your first day on the job.
Just look at this. Look at how these massive global goals translate into small, simple first steps. You don't have to decarbonize the entire electrical grid by yourself, just your own home's electricity supply. You don't have to reinvent agriculture, just be a little more mindful of the food on your plate. See? Every global goal has a local, personal starting point. And this is the mindset we need. The future isn't some abstract thing that just happens to us. It's something we are actively building with every single choice we make. Every solar panel that goes up, every tree that gets planted, every bike ride you take instead of driving, it's all part of the design.
So, congratulations, you're hired. Your planet needs you, the salary is absolutely unbeatable, and the work is the most meaningful you will ever do. The only question left is the one right there on the screen. What's your first move?